First, let us try to understand what are the types of reactions. Types of reactions. So, in general, the organic reactions broadly classified into addition kind. Then we have substitution kind. Well, when you say addition, here what we are doing, we have something like an alkene on which some compound XY is being added to give something like CH2, CH2, X and Y. This way, we are doing an addition reaction here. Okay. Addition could be electrophilic addition, a nucleophilic addition, or a radical addition. All right. So the types are AE, AN, and AR. AE as in electrophilic addition, N as in nucleophilic, R as in radical addition. While substitution is of three kinds. SN, here we have SN, that is nucleophilic substitution, SE, electrophilic substitution, and SR, radical substitution. Now, in case if we have something like CH4 plus Cl2 in the presence of HNu, we are getting CH3Cl plus HCl. The hydrogen got substituted instead of chlorine. So we have removed hydrogen, substituted that with chlorine. So this type of substitution, here it is due to radical formation. So this type is called SR or radical substitution. Then we may have SN nucleophilic substitution as well as electrophilic substitution as well. Elimination is the case where you have, some group like this, H connected to CH2, some halide like chlorine, okay. In the presence of some base like alcoholic KOH, we are getting an alkene. These are elimination kinds. In elimination, we have E1 and E2 kind. In fact, EI and many other forms also, we will be learning that slowly. So for this chapter, our main, right now, what we need to know is more about substitution kind. What are the substitution kinds? And as we enter towards alkenes, we will learn a lot about elimination kind as well as addition kind. Okay, students. Now let me write mostly about the substitution, which is nucleophilic. So SN as in nucleophilic substitution. Nucleophilic substitution. In nucleophilic substitution, one thing you must learn is that first we will have something like an Rx. In Rx, this X part which is present, correct? So this X part is also known as nucleophuse or leaving group. We term that as leaving group. And that is combined with something called a nucleophile. And that X minus is replaced by Y, and this will come out. Got it? Now this X will come out, Y will replace it there, right? So the reason for calling it as a leaving group is because of it is leaving this system. Got it? So this entire molecule Rx is called substrate, and the Y in general is called the reagent. Got it? These are the classic terms which you must know. What is a leaving group, what is a nucleophile, and how the SN reaction usually takes place. When you have SN, that is substitution reactions, there are mainly two categories. One is SN1 and SN2. In SN1, what we are expecting is that we will have a leaving group. We have a leaving group, got it, that we treat with H2O, which is a nucleophile, Nu. I'll write it as a nucleophile this way, and it is becoming ROH plus HBr. Okay. Now, if you see the mechanism, what is happening if it is SN1 reaction is first this RBr will slowly break into R plus and Br minus. So it's generate a carbocation, right? See, when a chemical reaction happens in multiple steps, got it? It is called a complex reaction. I told you about this earlier. Now, in the complex reaction, the slowest step, like this step is the slowest of all. It is called the rate determining step. Rate determining step. So here we can observe that this first step, the first step where RBr is breaking into carbocation and Br minus is the slow step. And slow steps are always termed as rate determining steps or RDS. Once it forms a carbocation, so this carbocation will treat with nucleophile to get ROH and H plus. So this way it gets attached, and this, because it is a bond formation, the reaction would happen very fast. And finally, this ROH and H, since this is not a stable molecule, it has charge on it, so fast it will relieve and electrons will be gained by oxygen to get ROH, alcohol, plus H plus. Okay, so this is the final product. So if you see the overall reaction, RBr, Br has been removed to form ROH and H2O has been connected here. The leftover H plus and leftover Br minus has finally formed HBr. So this is the overall reaction. Now if you see the rate of the reaction will always dependent on the slowest step of the reaction. In the slowest step, we will see what are the reactants that are being used. So rate of the reaction R will be equal to some constant multiplied by the concentration of the reactant, which is R into Br. Okay, R into Br. And see, this way of writing the rate is called rate law. You will be learning more about that in chemical kinetics. As of now, remember that rate of a reaction can be expressed in terms of concentration if you know what is its slow step. Since this is the slow step, in the slow step only one reactant is being used. So that rate would be equal to some constant into concentration of that reactant. Okay. And since there is only one reactant used here, right, the power to that concentration is 1. So whatever the power which you are getting here, that represents the order of the reaction. Order of the reaction. And in the slow step, you have to check how many molecules are being used. In the slow step, only one molecule is being used. So that's why it is termed as unimolecular. Unimolecular reaction. Unimolecular reaction. That's why it is called substitution by nucleophile and unimolecular. Unimolecular as in one molecule used in the slow step. That's why it is called as SN1. If you see the reactivity of the following, which is going to be more reactive, that depends upon what kind of a R you are taking. Suppose if I take CH3Br, right, that will be less reactive than CH3CH2Br as compared to that of CH3CH3Br and finally CH3 thrice CBr, which means if we consider a tertiary alkyl halide compared to secondary, primary and methyl, tertiary alkyl halide will react SN1 reaction faster because it can give more stable carbocation. So whenever we think about SN1, you should think the stability of carbocation. Wherever a more stable carbocation is coming, there would be the reaction will happen faster in that particular side. Okay, students, anyone has a doubt in SN1, they can ask me now. 1 here represents the power of that concentration. If you may recall, suppose if you have AA plus BB raised to power CC and DD, how do you write the K equilibrium? You write it as C raised to power C, D raised to power D, A raised to power of A, and B raised to power of B, right? What are this ABCD, small ABCD? Those are the powers of their concentrations, which depends upon the stoichiometric numbers, correct? Same is the case here. Stoichiometrically, there is only one molecule, 1 mole which has been taken. So that's why it is power 1. Since only in the slow step, always check out in the slow step. Slow step, only one molecule is used, one type of molecule. See, reaction overall is happening between these two molecules. But in the slow step, this nucleophile has no role. Can you see that? So in the slow step, only it is dependent on the substrate. Got it? So substrate is only one kind, right? So which means I'm using one molecule which is breaking into this, and that is a slow step. So in the slow step, how many reactants are used? Only one reactant. So that's why it is called unimolecular reaction. Now, going ahead, if you see how the SN1 graph looks like. So we started with RBR and we went to a particular transition state. From there we came to an intermediate. From there we'll get to a new transition state here. Got it? New transition state here. From there, another transition state. And finally, we came to the product. And that is ROH. We started with RBR, right? This I'll write it as TS1, transition state 2, and transition state 3. Okay. Here there is a carbocation formation. Here there is a ROH2 plus formation. And finally, we have ROH formation here. Okay. Now, if you see that, what is happening in the overall reaction here in the transition states? First, TS1. Transition state 1 is the case where we have R and BR getting separated. And this is getting delta positive, this is getting delta negative. This is transition state 1. Transition state 2 is R and OH, R plus and OH2 getting connected. Got it? This is TS2, transition state 2. And I told you transition state we'll be using this symbol. Transition state 3 is when H plus is getting relieved from it. So plus, and here it was delta plus, and H plus is getting relieved from it and getting delta plus. This is transition state. The rate of reaction in terms of right? In terms of the halides, if you check out, RF will have slow reaction, then RCl, then RBR, then RI. And the reason for RI being faster is it can easily break. So if you see the bond dissociation energy, okay, this is based on bond dissociation energy, which will show more reactivity. Out of all these four, RI will show more reactivity. So iodine can be lost very easily and gets a carbocation formation. Everybody clear on that? Last point in SN1, what you need to remember, it is independent of concentration of nucleophile and its strength. So which means SN1 does not demand that nucleophile has to be strong or it has to be high concentration or low concentration present. Reason being, in the slow step, there is no involvement of nucleophile and the entire reactions rate is always dependent on the slow step. Got it? Fast steps will happen instantly. It is the slow step which decides the entire rate of the reaction. So in the slow step, there is no nucleophile involvement. So we can say that the rate of SN1 does not depend on the concentration of nucleophile or its strength. Clear, everyone? No, beta, it is coming as a neutral molecule and gaining delta plus. Check out. Coming as a neutral molecule, gaining delta plus. So there is no negative charge. So here what we are doing, if we take any RCl and react something like OH minus, we are getting ROH plus Cl minus. See the mechanism here now. HO minus here, which is a nucleophile. Remember, this is nucleophile and this is leaving group. Lg as in leaving group. And we have R and Cl. HO minus is attacking carbon, at the same time chlorine is relieving. So it goes through a particular transition state, something like this, where HO is attacking R with delta negative and chlorine is relieving with delta negative. This is the transition state. Through this transition state, we have OH and R formation and Cl minus got relieved. So you can see it is just a one-step reaction. While if you see that SN1 are multi-steps. There are more than one steps. Okay. While SN2 is strictly one-step reaction. Within one step, it has to get the product. And what is the rate of the reaction? And since this is a one-step reaction, that itself is a slow step. Rate would be equal to some constant into RCl is also present and OH minus is also present. Both of them are the reactants present in the slow step. So rate will be equal to some constant into RCl into OH minus. So if you see, this has power 1, this has power 1. So order is always the sum of all the powers in the rate law. Sum of all the powers of concentrations in the rate law, and order here is 2. What is order? What is its details? You learn it slowly. As of now, you just understand the definition that order is a sum of the concentrations, sum of the coefficients of the concentrations. Next, how many molecules are involved in here? You can see that the number of molecules involved in the slow step are 2. So it is a bimolecular reaction. Bimolecular reaction, right? Which means it is substitution of nucleophile and bimolecular. That's why it is called as SN2. If you see the reactivity now, reactivity or rate of the reaction, right? The smaller groups like CH3Cl, got it? CH3, CH2Cl and Cl here and Cl here. If you see, this is methyl, primary, secondary and tertiary. So if you see the rate of reaction would be decreasing as you go towards tertiary. It all depends upon the steric hindrance. Basically, when OH minus is coming towards R here, if this R is bulky, it becomes difficult for OH minus to approach. So steric factor plays a very important role here, and the reason for this is steric hindrance. Steric hindrance. So more the amount of steric hindrance, less is the reactivity. Okay. So in short, I can say that alkyl groups are hydrophobic and repel nucleophiles. Now with respect to rate of alkyl halides, if we check out the rate of alkyl halides, RF, RCl, RBr, RI, rate would still be better for RI because breaking of bond with I will be easier compared to that of bromine, chlorine and iodine. So this is on the basis of bond dissociation energy. Yes, students. So whenever we think about SN2, we should always think in lines of whether it is more crowded or less crowded. Less crowded always favors SN2, more crowded always favors SN1. Hydrophobic as in which is non-polar and do not like any charged species. It comes with the fact that it does not like water. Okay. And why it doesn't like water is because water is polar and this is a non-polar part. Now, if you see the reaction curve here for SN2, okay, how does it vary? We can see that it started from here where we have RCl here, and within one step it has reached to ROH, RCl plus OH minus, and it has reached to ROH plus Cl minus, and this is the transition state. So you can see there is only one transition state, and this is that transition state. There is only one step happening here. Got it? Clear? And there is a bond breaking and making happening simultaneously. So it has to be slow. Eliminations are of two kinds, E1 and E2. Let me first tell you what is E2. CH3, CH2, Cl if you have, and I treat this with something like alcoholic KOH, okay, or ETO minus K plus, something like this. Then the molecule will turn out to be an alkene here. So if you see the mechanism, we have CH3 here and CCl, H and H here. ETO minus, which is a strong base, is extracting proton from here, and this bond will shift as a double bond, and at the same time Cl minus will leave. So all of these are happening simultaneously. Okay. Now if you see that HCH with double bond C here and chlorine with H, and this bond is breaking, right? And that bond is being accepted by ETO with delta minus, and this is getting delta minus. This is the transition state through which E2 is going, and from here we will get this as H2 C double bond CH2 plus Cl minus plus ETOH. So these are the products which you will see. Got it? So if I write all the products, it is actually Cl minus plus ETOH. Got it? Now in the rate, because this is also a one-step reaction, and that is a slow reaction here, slow step here. And if you see the rate of the reaction here, rate of the reaction R would be equal to some constant into, this is CH3 CH2Cl, which is the substrate, and ETO minus, which is a base or a nucleophile, right? So this is also, you can see, order, because it has 1 and 1 as the power, so order of this reaction is also 2. And you can see in the reaction there are two molecules involved, so this means this is also bimolecular reaction, and the type is elimination, and it is bimolecular, hence it is called as E2. Got it? Now if you see the reaction curve, how it is, so we started from here, which is CH3 CH2Cl plus ETO minus. From there, within one step, it reached to through a transition state and came to products, and the product formed is CH2 double bond CH2 with this as one transition state. So remember, in the profile, in the graph, this side is energy, this side is reaction progress, always RP as in reaction progress. Okay, so this is the way it is going through a transition state. Okay guys, now the Order the rate of reaction depends upon what factor? See, one thing, it will depend upon the stability of this alkane. More stable the alkane, faster will be the elimination. So if you see CH3, CH2Cl, and if you compare that with secondary chloride, or you compare that with tertiary chloride, you can see this will generate more stable alkene. See the types of alkene we will get. We'll get CH2 double bond CH2. Here we'll get CH3, CH double bond CH2. Here we'll get CH3 and CH3 with double bond CH2. Correct? So you can see this alkene has most amount of hyperconjugation and becomes more stable. So therefore, stability of alkene decides the rate of the reaction. Okay, students. So rate of the reaction would be more for third degree, then second degree, and 1 degree alkyl halide. Clear? More stable the alkene, more is the rate of the reaction. Correct? Any doubt here? One important thing is here the elimination has to happen simultaneously, which means ETO minus should extract proton from here. At the same time, halide should leave, which means this base has to be strong here. I don't use the word nucleophile here. I'll use the word base. So strong base favors strong bases favors E2 mechanism. Everyone, please look and ask me if you have any doubts. Lastly, we'll learn what is E1 type of mechanism. E1 type goes similar to that of SN1, where if I take any reactant like this tertiary alkyl halide and treat that with a weak basis like ETOH and heat, then I will get this alkene. Got it? Alkene plus Cl minus. So if you see the mechanism, so here you can see first this 3 degree alkyl halide first removes that Cl minus, and this is the slow step to get a carbocation plus Cl minus here, right? And this carbocation which has formed here, suppose on this side I'll take this as CH2 and H here. So the base ETOH will extract the proton. This bond will close at double bond here, and that would happen as a fast reaction to get a double bond formation like this plus ETOH2 plus. Okay. So you can see just like SN1, this is also a multi-step reaction, and the reactivity or rate of reaction depends upon more stable carbocation, because that is a slow step. So in the slow step, whatever the stabilizing factor is, it will happen at a faster rate. So we can say that tertiary alkyl halide is better than secondary alkyl halide is better than primary alkyl halide. So 3 degree rate will be faster than 2 degree than 1 degree. So in conclusion, if you check out what is happening, SN1, E1 and E2, all of this would favor the reaction when you have 3 degree, 2 degree and 1 degree. This is the rate of their respective mechanisms. While if it is SN2, then it will favor 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, least crowding. This is the rate or reactivity of SN2. These are 4 terms you must know: what is SN1, SN2, what is E1 and E2. Now last thing I would like to add is, if you check out the SN1 and SN2 here, you can see reactant enthalpy is more compared to that of products. So I can say that delta H of the reaction here, is less than 0, which means it is exothermic. Got it? Same way here also you can see this is exothermic because delta H is less than 0. While in eliminations, if you observe, in eliminations, delta H is greater than 0. This is endothermic. Eliminations are endothermic and substitutions are exothermic, which means high temperature favors which reaction here? High temperature favors both E1 and E2 reactions. So wherever if the temperature is increased more and more, so you would see elimination products would start coming more compared to that of substitution. So yesterday we saw the catalytic hydrogenation. We'll just finish with that. In catalytic hydrogenation, what we saw that when you have an alkene C double bond O like this, right? And you add H2 in the presence of a metal catalyst, then we used to get this as H and H and making a syn addition. Okay, let me remind you once again. We learned that cis molecule with syn addition was giving erythro. Cis molecule with anti addition was giving trio. Trans molecule with syn addition was giving trio, and trans molecule with anti addition was giving erythro. Got it? So this is something you got to keep on revising. Now, the other case, the second case of catalytic hydrogenation is done, and this is considered to be one of the best ways to do it, is using Wilkinson's catalyst. Please keep writing from here. Wilkinson's catalyst. So Wilkinson's catalyst is triphenyl phosphine, okay, thrice rhodium chloride. So this is the reagent which you are using. Got it? If you check out the name is tris triphenyl phosphine rhodium 1 as in oxidation state and chloride. So this is the name of that molecule. Basically what does Wilkinson's do is that if you take RCH2, or even if you take RC triple bond CH, both if you treat with H2 in the presence of Wilkinson's catalyst, it will convert into alkane, right? Whatever this same reaction we have seen it with catalytic hydrogenation, the same thing would happen here also. All right, and this is one of the best methods, used in industry. Okay, important catalyst. It does the same work. It is also a syn addition, just like what we have seen it for other cases. So same syn addition will take place to form alkanes. Make a note, everyone. So let us see the next preparation reaction. This is preparation by from alkyl halides. From alkyl halides, how do we prepare alkanes? So if you take RH and treat that with certain reducing agents which can provide hydrogen hydride, it can become RH. Got it? First one we look over is lithium aluminium hydride, considered as one of the powerful reducing agents. So if I take 4 moles of RX, okay, and R should not be tertiary here. Okay, R can be methyl, it can be primary, it can be secondary. In these cases, if you treat with lithium aluminium hydride, industrially it is known as LAH, lithium aluminium hydride. It would form 4 moles of RH plus LiX plus AlX3. Okay, students. So basically, all of these hydrogens are replacing the halides there and forming as this. So mechanism which is happening is more like an SN2 mechanism here. SN2 kind of a mechanism where you can see aluminium with 4 hydrogens will be treated with Rx. So this hydride will attack on R, removes X minus simultaneously. So we will have H, Al, H and H with plus X minus plus RH is what is formed. Got it? So you can see it is happening in one step. One step reaction is SN2. Got it? And like I said, SN2 is more favorable for lower substitution group. Higher the substitution, which is what happens in tertiary, this reaction is not favored. Second reaction is with NaBH4, sodium boron hydride. Sodium boron hydride. Industrially written as SBH. As compared to that of lithium boron hydride, it is less reactive than LaH. This is less reactive than LaH. And if you see RH, it will reduce SBH, will reduce this to RH. But here the Rx which is preferred, R is preferred, is tertiary. Okay, RH is not preferred to be primary or methyl group. Primary or methyl group is not favored because this reaction slightly takes the route of SN1 kind. SN1 kind of mechanism. So which means it would start making some carbocation on which this H minus will attack on it. So that's how the reaction takes place. I guess this point is clear. Now, what if there was a tertiary alkyl halide which you took? For example, if I take this, I'm taking as an example. Suppose if I take Br here and I treat that with LaH and SBH. LaH is a powerful reducing agent and it will try to go for SN2. See, any powerful reducing agents or powerful nucleophiles, they will always try to go for SN2. But since it is crowded, it cannot go for SN2. So it will take the via route towards alkene. So alkene will come as the major product if you check out lithium aluminum hydride. But if sodium boron hydride is less reactive, it will take a route of SN1. So it will give alkanes. This will be major product. SN1, again I'll repeat, SN1 is favored when you have tertiary, secondary, primary. Okay. And preferably weak nucleophiles. Got it? SN2 is favored if it is primary, secondary, tertiary, preferably strong nucleophiles. Whichever I use the word strong nucleophiles, strong or powerful reducing agents, they will all prefer SN2 kind. But if SN2 is not happening, right, it will take the route of E2. Got the point? Because SN2 cannot be favored in tertiary because of its crowding. So what is the alternate route for this strong nucleophile? To go for E2. See the next set of reaction here. This is reduction by metal halides, metal acids. This is part B, I guess. First we done with 1 and 2. This is part 2. Part 2, reduction by metal acids. Suppose if I take Rx and treat that with any metal acid, I will get this as RH. What are these metal acids? Few examples if we check out. First one being iron in concentrated HCl. Iron in concentrated HCl. Got it? And zinc in acetic acid. Got it? Or sodium in ethanol. Sodium in ethanol. And magnesium amalgamated in water. Magnesium amalgamated in water. Got it? Right. And zinc in NaOH, acid or base. In both the cases, it will give that. Anyways, I'll put it in the base form. Here I don't put it. So, right, with metal acids, we will see. I'll show you one of them. Basically, what is happening is iron, will oxidize itself in the presence of concentrated HCl to become FeCl3 and releases sufficient number of nascent hydrogens. And these nascent hydrogens are the ones which will replace this halide and get this as RH. Got it? So all you need to know is this, that these are some reagents which can be used to convert alkyl halides into alkanes. Students, I hope you understood that. So all of these metals are doing the same thing. They are dissolving in the acid, making relieving nascent hydrogens, and those nascent hydrogens will react with alkyl halides to form alkanes. Same thing, reduction by metals in base. Metals in base. You see that? If you take any RX and treat that with Zn in the presence of NaOH, you add zinc in NaOH, zinc will immediately convert into Zn2 plus and release electrons. And from there we'll get RH. Got it? Same way, if we check out, instead of only using zinc, we can use zinc, copper and aluminum alloy in the presence of NaOH. Got it? Now this this alloy's name is Devarda alloy. This is Devarda alloy. You will come across in inorganic. So from now only, just recall that if you come across zinc, copper, aluminum alloy, it is called Devarda's alloy. So in both of these cases, we will get RH. Here, you may have come across this reaction where zinc been added to NaOH. So it will become sodium zincate, ZnO2. This kind of zincate is formed here, right? And releasing out that H2 gas. So basically, if there is an halide present, if there is an alkyl halide present, instead of relieving it as H2 gas, it will become nascent hydrogen, react with RX and becomes RH. That is the whole idea behind this reaction. RMGX. RMGX is called as Grignard's reagent. I want you to remember this term. This is one of the most used reagents. Any RMGX is Grignard's reagent. Basically, how do we prepare it? If you take RX, alkyl halide, and add some magnesium, powder into RX, it will convert into RMGX this way. And RMGX, if you treat that with any acid form like HA, any acid here, it will become RH and MGX, X and A. So that's how we can get alkanes. So from alkyl halides, first convert that into a Grignard's reagent. From there, react with any acid, it would become alkane. Okay. Now, what kind of a alkanes you can get? We cannot get benzylic. If it is this hydrogen which you are getting, that should not be on a vinylic position, phenylic position, right? Then the reaction would be relatively slow. For example, if this RMGX is treated with, this HA, I'm telling you what kind of a hydrogens we should take out. First, any acids like HF, HCl, HBr, all inorganic acids, they are very strong. So from all of them, it can extract proton. And all organic acids, RCOOH, it can extract proton. Phenol, it can extract proton, correct? Amines, RNH2, it can extract proton, correct? And even in the case of, aromatic hydrogens, you can see if it extract proton here, this will become aromatic, right? So it can extract proton from the aromatic place also. So all of this, water will do, alcohol will do. From all of this, remember this hydrogens can be extracted by Grignard's reagent. All of these hydrogens can be extracted by Grignard's reagent. Grignard's reagent is a very powerful, uh, base. It can easily extract proton from slightly polarized hydrogen. Got it? Where it cannot extract proton easily is that if it is vinylic group, if it is RH, CH2 double bond CHH. So it cannot extract this proton. Got it? Same way, phenylic group. So if you have phenyl here, so it cannot extract this proton. If it is allylic group, CH2, CH, CH2H, it cannot extract this proton. Or phenylic benzylic group, CH2H, so it cannot extract this proton. So these type of protons cannot be extracted from Grignard's reagent, but it can extract protons from any other acid, alcohol, amines. As long as hydrogen is slightly polar, it can easily extract and make it alkanes. So everybody understood this point? Yeah, it can even extract from triple bonds also, CH triple bond CH. So this hydrogen can be extracted by Grignard's reagent. Okay, you can discuss the same in terms of pK values. We have learned GOC now. See, what is the pK value of RH? Any alkane is approximately 50. While check out the pK values of all of this. Correct? So all of these pK values are quite less than 50, no? So definitely reaction would happen towards that. This may have slightly less than pK value of this, correct? But the reaction will be pretty slow here. That's why these cannot be used for extracting proton. So these are most familiarly used. These are not polarized enough. These hydrogens are not polarized enough that R minus can pull it. Okay. Right. So which means if at all I write some few reactions here of Grignard's reagent, check out. If at all I have CH3 MgBr, right? And question asked, which of the following can give methane gas on reaction with RMGX? Got it? And I'll just put it at the center here. Let me take this as an example. CH3 MgBr. Our idea is which of the following will give you methane gas. Suppose if at all I react with NH3, it can instantly take that hydride from there and it will become CH4. And what is the rest of the reaction here? MgX, MgBr, MgBr and NH2. Correct? Even if you take CH3, NH2, here also it will pull that plus Mg, Br and NHCH3. This is what you will get. And if you take CH3, C triple bond CH, it can pull that proton from there also, becomes methane gas, Mg, Br and C triple bond C CH3. This is what you would get. Clear, guys? Not just that, it can even pull from any amide also, like RC double bond O NH2 is there. So this hydrogen is also polarized enough that it can pull the electrons. So you'll get CH4 gas plus R C double bond O NH MgBr. So I hope all of you understood that. Correct. But in case if you react that with R C double bond O R, any aldehydes are ketones. Instead of any pulling of hydrogen, here it will get added. The product formed would be RCO minus MgBr plus and R and CH3 gets added here. So this CH3 minus will get added onto carbon plus and O minus will take care of MgBr. So here addition reaction is favored. So I hope you guys understood that. So in case if you react that with aldehydes, ketones, esters, addition reaction is more favored rather than coming as a acid base reaction. Rest all these are all acid base reactions. You can see acid base here, this is a base, this is an acid. So acid base reaction. This is a base, this is an acid. H plus is an acid here, acid base reaction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 are acid base reactions. The last one which I have written is an addition reaction. And you are asked, I'm treating this with excess CH3 MgCl. Okay. Then we have to find the number of moles of CH4, number of moles of CH4 released. Check how many moles of CH4 will be released in this. Check out carefully. This is a protic hydrogen. This is a very polarized protic hydrogen. This is a polarized hydrogen. This is a polarized hydrogen. And the last one here, this is also polarized. Correct? One thing that we usually forget is the methylene, active methylene. Remember, active methylene pK value is very less. It is around 9, 11, 13 like that. Correct? Which is in fact so much better than alcohols. So if this can be protic, what I'm saying, you know, the active methylene cases, active methylenes will have a pK value around 11, 13 like that. So these are much better than alcohols, no? Definitely. So this will also act like an active hydrogen. Okay. So how many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what is the number of moles of methane? Moles you will get 6 moles. So I guess you understood what is the typical JE question that comes from this case now. Only one hydrogen is removed, beta. If you recall H3PO4, after removal of one H plus, like this, does the pK value increase or decrease for this? pK value will increase, na? To here. So it will become even less acidic or not? Correct? So now you cannot remove the second hydrogen from here. Overall reaction is, if I take 2 moles of alkyl halide and treat that with sodium in the presence of dry ether, I will get this as R and R, correct, plus 2 moles of NaX. When 2 moles of alkyl halides combine to form, one alkane which is coupled, this is also called as coupling reaction. Got it? Or also use the term as Wood's coupling reaction. Now, mechanism can happen in both ways, both radical ways as well as carb anion ways, and evidence of both the mechanisms have been observed. First, let us see the mechanism by SN2. This one is most common, also known as polar mechanism. Because there are charges involved here, that's why it is called polar mechanism. Now what is happening here, that Rx plus 2 moles of Na. See, sodium is a strongly electron donating species. If you take sodium and add it to any solution, it would instantly release electrons. So what you can think of, that it is releasing 2 electrons. And these two electrons will see that carbon is getting delta positive here, and they will attack on carbon. Thereby X will completely relieve from here, and I'll get R minus plus X minus, just like SN2. Got it? Electrons are reaching, X minus is leaving. Got it? And the released Na plus here, what do we have? 2 of X minus have released, sorry, 1 X minus have released here, and I have 2 of Na plus present. So far clear? Step 1 is clear, everyone? Now this R minus which has formed is a strong nucleophile which will further react with the next molecule of Rx and attack R, and X minus leave. This is strictly SN2, and you'll get this as R and R plus X minus. So now if you see the overall reaction, what has happened here? So with 2 moles of Rx plus 2 moles of Na to form R and R plus 2 moles of NaX. So I guess that is clear. And since it is SN2 type of reaction, which reactivity would be better? CH3 will be better than 1 degree alkyl halide, then 2 degree and 3 degree. In fact, 3 degree does not give Wood's reaction via SN2 mechanism. So it is one step only, no? See, R minus has formed this to get this, one step. Reaction is starting from here. First one is just an electron. Electron is pushing them to get an R minus. It is generating a nucleophile. Once a nucleophile comes, nucleophile is attacking a substrate in one step, forming a product. This second step is happening in one step, beta. Minute you add sodium, right? The minute you add sodium, some amount of R minus will keep generating, and that R minus will start, hitting the Rx which are present in the solution. First one is not a step, beta. It is just for your understanding. Got it? This you cannot even see. Got it? So the minute you add sodium, instantly electrons will catch up and you'll get this. So this is a very fast reaction. Whenever there are SN2, there could be some byproducts of E1 and E2 also. Okay? Not E1, majorly it is the E2 which will have some byproducts. Which means, let me take for an example. If I take CH3, CH2Cl, and 2 moles of that, I'm treating that with sodium in dry ether. I'm expecting that it will have CH3, CH2, CH2, CH3. Well, major may be this, but there would be a lot of minor product also. What are the other minor products? You can see CH2 double bond CH2 forming. This would form, as well as CH3 and CH3 will also form. These two are minor products. So how are these minor products coming? Let us see that. During the mechanism, if you have seen, we have encountered that we have CH3, CH2 minus forming, which is making a reaction with CH3, CH2X. So this is attacking here, X minus is leaving. That's how it is making an SN2 mechanism to get CH3, CH2, CH2 and CH3. This is the expected major product. But at the same time, we can also expect this reaction that CH3, CH2 minus can be treated with CH2, CH2X with hydrogen here. Same molecule, I'm writing it as CH3, CH2X. Now this can act like a base and extract proton, and this sigma bond will become this pi bond here, removing this X minus, and all of them are happening simultaneously. So it can go through E2 mechanism to get CH3. So you can get this as CH3, CH3, because this carbon has extracted proton. And what about this molecule? This has become CH2 double bond CH2, an alkene. So you could see these two are minor products and this is that major product. And that's why we said, suppose if the crowding becomes, if this becomes more and more crowded, then SN2 is not favored, E2 is only favored. So this will become major and this will become minor. So this is the major and minor product which you will get. And simultaneously we have non-polar mechanism. non-polar mechanism. Both are accepted forms, okay, which is Rx plus sodium. When you react, imagine sodium has released one electron. One electron would form a radical and X minus will be relieved. And these radicals which are forming, you know that radicals will terminate. So radicals will terminate very easily. There will be a very fast reaction and you'll get R and R. So that's how it is getting a coupling. Clear, students? And how the elimination can be shown? See, I'll take with an example with non-polar mechanism. CH3, CH2, Cl. If I react with sodium, I might get CH3, CH2 dot as one radical, and CH3, CH2 dot radicals. If at all I take 2 moles of them, so I'll get both of them terminate with each other to give CH3, CH2, CH2 and CH3. This is the product which we will get. Along with that, we can also expect as if CH3, CH2 dot and HCH2, CH2 dot this way. So this will undergo homolytic fission and these two will try to make a bond here. And here, this dot, the dot which is coming on carbon will make a bond here. So what is it happening here? You can see CH3, CH2, this dot and hydrogen dot will become CH3, CH3 plus the dot coming on carbon and this dot, both will make a pi bond. So we can get CH2 double bond CH2. So you can see the same products we are getting both by polar mechanism and non-polar mechanism. That's why both are accepted mechanisms. So it's very difficult to prepare pure alkanes through this Wood's method, okay? Because if you use Wood's method, you will always have some or the other byproducts, which are minor products. In case if we take CH3, CH2Cl and react that with CH3, CH2, CH2Cl. This is alkyl halide, ethyl alkyl. This is the ethyl chloride. This is the propyl chloride. If mixture of both of them has been treated with sodium and dry ether, how many products we can get? See, for this type of questions, how you will solve. First, we will write the couple product. Okay. What is the couple product here? See, first one. For this, what is the coupled product, beta? So we will have 5, 7, I guess. Check. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This will be 4. This is the couple product of it. Next couple product would be of this one. I'm writing all the couple products. 6 carbons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've written the couple product. Now, within this, we have checked that it can give one alkene and alkane also. In fact, here we saw that it can give CH3, CH3 as well as CH2 double bond CH2. Right, beta? Because this can undergo elimination also. And during elimination, the side product formed is this one only. Same thing can happen here also. We can get CH3, CH2, CH3. Clear? And we can get CH3, CH double bond CH2. Right? And can I say a cross coupling can also happen? CH3, CH2 and CH3, CH2, CH2. That can also couple. So 5-membered ring can form here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So how many products you got, beta? And it's very difficult to judge the byproducts, which of them you can get. Now tell me, is it possible to get methane in using Wood's reaction? Okay. This is one of the frequently asked JEE question, that CH4 cannot be prepared as major product cannot be prepared as major product reaction. Second thing, see, whenever you see the major product here, it is always a even carbon molecule, right? This is also even carbon, this is also even carbon. So can we produce an odd number of carbon alkane, pure alkane, using this method? So we cannot. So second thing is pure alkane with odd number of carbons can't be prepared. So these two statements are usually asked in exams. So please check. But that is not pure, na beta. It is not pure alkene form, which means this would have a mixture of it, isn't it or not? What this sentence means that if at all I take only one kind of an alkyl halide, like if I take CH3, CH2, Cl only, this is the pure form which I'm taking, and then I react with sodium and ether. What is the major product I'll expect? This is the major product, isn't it or not? Correct. So this will not have any mixture of one carbon or three carbon, right? Try a similar question now. Same thing. Find the products. Find the number of products in this particular reaction. CH3, CH2Cl, sodium and dry ether. First we'll write the coupling product. This is one coupling product. This is one coupling product. Coupling of this will give this. Coupling of this will give this. And cross coupling will give this. Okay. So these three are coupled products. Next. Now this does not have any alpha hydrogen here, right? This is a carbon here, correct? Right. So this is a carbon here. So no, it can form. It is in a very minor form. It will be traces. Correct. See, both mechanisms are favored, no? Think in non-polar mechanism. 3-degree radicals are stable, isn't or not? 3-degree radicals are more stable, right? Yes, beta. The product formation will be less. That's why I said only possible product. Okay. I'm not at all asking major or minor here. So only see what are the possible ones. What about this one? This can have an alkene also, which is CH2 double bond CH2, and it can form alkane also, CH3 and CH3. This is the one form which you can have. And this can take out an alkene from here as well. So we can get one alkene form this way. So how many products we are getting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 beta. Is there any other product we can see? Next example, if you see that, in case if you have any form of coupling, in case if you have two halides on the same alkyl position here, and I treat that with sodium and dry ether, got it? Then radical termination happens most. Here radical mechanism is more favored. Radical mechanism most favored. When you have two halides on the same alkyl halide, radical mechanism is most favored, and this will be the major product. So radical will form here, radical will form here, and radical will terminate. Same way, if you see the next question, if you have benzene, connected with it is Cl here, Cl here, sodium and dry ether. So what is the product form beta? Radical termination will happen, and we'll get this as the major product. In case if you have chlorine here, sodium and dry ether, what is the product form? This one, bicyclo will form. And let's say bromine here, this way. This is also already a bicyclo form. And when you treat that with sodium, it will terminate here. this way. Correct? So you can see it is like a propeller shape. Correct? So this molecule, with respect to that, it is like a fan. Correct? So the name is propylene. Its name is propylene. Make a note of these examples. In all of the cases, dry ether is needed. Why dry ether? Dry ether will not have any reaction with electrons. If you take any ether, ether itself is an electron-rich species. So no matter whatever electrons that are roaming around ether, they will be inert to each other. That's why we will use dry ether as the solvent. Minor products, like I said, in radical mechanism, 95% of the products will be only terminated product. Very least traces amount of products will be coming. That's why we will not count them as minor anymore. So this is something you have to remember when you have dihalides. Okay. Now, same type of reaction, suppose if in case if you have Rx plus Rx and both of these are alkyl, this is also alkyl. Both are alkyl halides and you are reacting with sodium and dry ether and I am getting R and R as the major product. Then we call this as the Woods reaction. Suppose if there is any pH plus pHH, so this is aryl. Benzyl groups are called aryl groups. So these are aryl halides. So aryl halides, if they are terminating with each other to form pH and pH, which is biphenyl, then the reaction's name is Fittig reaction. This is called Fittig reaction. In case if it is a combination of both, one is Rx, which is alkyl, and one is PHX, which is aryl, in the presence of sodium and dry ether, and we are getting pH and R here, this is called Woods-Fittig. Woods-Fittig reaction. So you should be able to find out what is Fittig, Woods-Fittig, just like that. Okay, clear guys? On the same lines, in case if we have any aryl halides like this, any aryl halides here, aryl, in the presence of copper, if you do that, and you'll get pH and pH plus CuX2. This is called Ullmann's reaction. Ullmann's reaction. And whether it is an Rx, alkyl or aryl, it doesn't matter. If at all I take 2 moles of this, that is Rx plus Rx, okay, both alkyl or aryl, any of that, and treat that with zinc in the presence of EtOH, and I get this as R and R plus ZnX2. This is called Frankland's reaction or synthesis. Check out the names everyone, make a note of these names.